So we will go ahead and get started. I appreciate everybody that showed up today, and I'm sure there'll be a handful of people that'll be joining us here in the next few minutes, but we'll go ahead and get started. This particular program is going to be all about marketing, and today we're going to let Scott Hill take over for us. He has played football for the Columbia University, rather, sorry. He currently lives in Nashville, Tennessee, and if you guys heard him talking about the Titans, he's a fan of the Titans. He's also been a small business owner for 30 years. He founded William & Hill, and he developed a marketing strategy and a software solution that's called 30-Minute Marketing Magic, and that's designed for food establishments to help them leverage their face-to-face and text messaging marketing opportunities, but still manage those opportunities in about 30 minutes a week. So please welcome Scott Hill, and we'll let him take over.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate that. Anybody who was with us last time on our last training knows me. I'll probably let that introduction stand with Bill so we can just get straight into the training. Today's training is specifically on your why video, and why I'm going to use the word why a lot, so it's no big deal, but why it's so important to your business and how you can use it to leverage the top of the funnel. You're going to hear some of these terms that are marketing terms. I'll try to make them more friendly to just everyone, in case you don't spend your hours and days and nights like I do inside marketing. I'll try to do it, and if you have questions that I can clarify, then that'll be great. So let's go ahead and get into the training. Here's what we're going to cover. We're going to ask you some video marketing questions. Like last time, if you were with us, we got a lot of value as a group asking a couple questions so we could all hear everybody's, let's call it pain points, things that we're struggling with as a group, things that bother you about marketing. And specifically, we're going to focus on questions that really deal with video and what can we do to use video, because the percentages, the statistics are absolutely overwhelming. Video is where it's at when it comes to marketing. So the more that you can get comfortable with it, the more we can use it, the better off you're going to be. So we're going to talk about the video script, the why video script, and the strategy behind it. Then we're going to actually get into Facebook Ads Manager, and I'm going to show you how to set up a campaign if you want to start using this video to sort of start filtering the general public into people who have actually taken an interest in what you do. That's the critical part of why video is so important. How you can post it first, how then you can use a post ID to create the ad instead of just boosting a post, then how you can turn that post into an awareness ad, build a campaign, select a target audience, and then the second piece of this Facebook Ads Manager training is going to be how do you create a custom audience based on what that why video is doing, and why or why not you need to change the why video because it is or isn't performing. Then we're going to talk about the tools you might need, and then we're going to get into some Q&A. So just like last time, and I'm always going to do this with every training, Bill and I are committed to doing this twice a month. So I'm always going to ask these two favors. Number one, if you like this workshop, the only thing that I really ask, and you feel like it delivers real value, I would appreciate it if you leave me a review on Google. And this is part of the theme of the way I work with my clients, is that we are always asking for feedback, whether it's a review or whatever. That is going to help you compete better in Google, which is one of the main playing fields we all have to deal with these days. Google owns local search. So the second thing is active participation. We are all going to get a ton more value out of this training if you all participate, answer the questions, take some thought or give some thought to the answers so that we can all get more out of it. There is a series of questions to get to the answer, and it's always why. The why video is part of this, but if I ask you a question and I say, why did you come here today? I say, well, because I saw the sign. Well, why did the sign make you come in? What was going on? Well, it said you offer food. Well, so why did you choose us? Well, because I like pizza. Okay, so why are if you keep going down, ultimately it's going to get to a core reason, and the core reason is what we're looking for in terms of marketing. Okay, so here are today's questions. We're going to give each other, we're going to give you guys a few seconds, 30, 60 seconds to really contemplate these questions and give us a good answer in the chat. So first one, what do you find hard or hardest about social media, and in particular video? We're going to think about video as something that you're going to deliver to the public that's you. And so tell me what really kind of not keeps you up at night, but what you find hard about it. And I am going to open the chat to take a look here.
I like that very first one about the professional editing and voiceover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good news is you don't need it. If you want to be if you want me to be honest, I've seen lots and lots of videos that you don't need any of it, and we're going to go over some of that. So hopefully we'll be helpful there. New to the idea, yeah, video is something that if you haven't done it before, there definitely is a learning curve and a comfort level you need to get. How about anybody else?
You know, everybody else is thinking. One of the things that I noticed, because I put up I guess a poll a couple of weeks ago, or I guess probably about a month ago, asking about what should I do about the audio versions of my book, and everybody was just saying I should read them, and I'd never really considered that. And yeah, I mean, there's no reason why I can't do it, so I'm going to.
Yeah. There's we are mobile, so how do we have a Google review? That's a different training. I can go in depth, but I'm going to summarize it here for you so I can answer this question. Everyone who wants a Google review, the process to do it is you go to Google, you type in Google Business Listing, and then you are going to give them the necessary information in order to create a Google listing. Now, for purposes of actually creating the Google listing, you have to list a physical address. Okay. That's because when you submit this Google business listing that you're creating for your business, they have to send you a postcard with a code that allows you to register your listing. Once it's registered, then you go back into your Google listing, which you'll be in because you'll be typing that number in. You can delete your physical address, and then you can do what's called an area business, and you can select the areas you serve, and you can delete your physical address. You won't need it. So if you have any questions about that, then you can just contact me directly and I'll walk you through it. But that's the answer to that question. Okay, so we've got some good answers. We can go through these as we need to, but let's move on to the second question. Yes or no, right now, are you running ads on Facebook and or Instagram? If you are, simple yes. If you're not, you can hit no, but it would be great to say, just why not? Whether you just can't afford it right now, you think it's too expensive, you tried it, it's not working, whatever the reason, it'll be good to hear it. Okay, you were, but Facebook stopped them. Okay. Yes, you are. Tested a few. No. Okay. No, I have not opened up yet. Maureen, that makes sense. It's good to get a sense of where everybody is with relative to this. I did once. I got a lot of views, but I don't know how to. Okay, great, Gretchen. We're going to cover that, which is fantastic. We're going to talk about that and why videos can help you. All right, let's go to the third question. Continue to write if you want to address that second question. Great. For those of you who are currently running ads, I think there's just a couple of you, so we can skip this question if necessary. On Facebook, Instagram, what are the hardest things you struggle with? Those of you who are doing it, it would be great to kind of get a sense of if it's not working right, tell us why you think it's not, or what your challenges are. Niche targeting, okay. We can cover that. We're going to go into that in this training, actually. Okay, and then last question. What's the biggest marketing challenge? Doesn't have to be video. I like to group, our clients are mainly, we call them counter window register type businesses, because the transaction's handled at the counter, and there are two playing fields that we tell our clients, and we'll talk about this a bit more, but the playing fields that you really need to be good at competing in our opinion, and what we've seen in our experience, is inside Google. Google owns local search, and at your cash register. If you're not really competing as hard as you can at both of those places, you're leaving a lot of money on the table and a lot of opportunity. Okay, so we're going to go on. So just like what I said, I got ahead of myself a little bit. Where are the biggest opportunities when it comes to marketing and growing your business? Google business listing for two really critical reasons. Number one, 46% of all searches on Google are local based. Pizza near me, food truck near me, whatever it's going to be, it's intent based. That means I am looking for something specific. Over 60% on a daily basis of people who search for something local take action on that desire. So 50, 60, 70% of your daily potential customers are on Google searching for a food truck near you, and 60% of them are going to take action. How many of you would love to be the food truck that gets that business? I mean, we're talking about business is a competition. And if you want to compete, my advice is that you take a long, hard look at how you can compete on Google. The second thing is at your cash register. You have worked very, very hard to get their attention, enough for them to visit your truck. You're going to kill them with your food, but you're not the only food choice in town. No one is keeping your competitor down the street from making really great food that's going to get my attention too. So if you want to get them back to your place, and statistics say there's a 70% chance they're not coming back, then at the cash register, you have to win them. You have to win them with your food, and you've got to win them with their attention. And so what do? That's the objective. You have to focus on getting their attention first. You can do that in Google. You can do that on Facebook ads with video. You can do that with social media. Once you get it, you got to hold it. Your copy, your content, your everything is going to hold that attention long enough so it will convert for you. They'll either show up at your food truck, they'll go to your website. If those of you who are in our last training, that is all really critically tied to your first impression. If your first impression is not favorable, customers do not need subconsciously very much to decide we're going to throw up our defense as a human being, and we're wired to do it, and we're going to move on. So you convert it. When you convert it, if you're at the cash register fighting as hard as you can, you're getting their information so you can keep it. And that just means build a relationship and follow up. So here's what we find as a business, as a marketing company. Here's what we find when marketing doesn't work for you, for a business owner, any business owner. When marketing doesn't work for me, it's because one of these or more of these things are not in place. The strategy is not in place. It's not coherent. It's not a solid strategy. You don't have the necessary tools to execute the strategy. You're not getting the necessary support in order to have the strategy work. You're not testing and measuring it. You're not getting feedback when you need it. And then possibly you're just not following through. There's some statistics we've learned. For example, in our business, we teach people how to win with text message marketing. There's some statistics that are really compelling. But if you use text message marketing and you get responses and you don't follow through with them, then your ROI is zero. So that's going to be really important. So let's talk about the why, the strategy, and the script. Okay, in the industry, in the marketing world that I live in, the why video is really, it's the top of the funnel. So brands, big brands, any big brand that you know of, the reason why they do a Super Bowl commercial is not to convert people into customers. That is a brand strategy, top of the funnel brand strategy. If they've done that often enough, then it's now in your subconscious. You're going to go and you're going to buy the Coke because they've just wired you so many times that, you know, when you walk into the convenience store, you're going for the Coke. But top of funnel is a why video strategy. It really is focused around brand awareness. You're not, although you can and possibly should have some sort of call to action, it's really more, the objective is brand awareness. It is creating a scenario, it's creating an environment where you can take people down the funnel. So when no one knows who you are, there's several sort of structures and they're basically the same. Some people call it know, like, and trust. Some people call it awareness, consideration, and conversion. Both are the same. When no one when the person never has heard of you, your objective is to get them to know you first. It's the classic dating to marriage thing. You can't get a person to marry you on the first date typically. You have to first introduce yourself. Okay. And then you have a couple dates. So know the person is the awareness, the consideration is the like, and the conversion is the trust. So far, so good, everybody? Or does anybody have any questions or anything they want to add? Bill, do you have anything to add so far?
No, I mean, I like to know, like, and trust because that's more common to what we do.
Yeah.
Food business. But yeah, you're right on target with everything.
Okay, great. All right. So how do we do it? Okay, so we have a script framework, and that's what I'm going to share with you guys today. At some point, I'm going to encourage you, and actually it's a part of the homework. I'm going to ask you to create one. And there's no more, let's call it, loving place, supportive place than in the food truck training group. Bill will kick you out if you're not supportive and if you're not kind to one another. So there's not going to be a better place for us to do some homework and to share our why videos inside the group so people can comment on them. People can learn from them. So that's going to be homework. And you can't do the homework unless you have sort of the assignment and we can teach you how to actually just take a stab at it. So tools, camera, video editing software, there are free video editing software pieces, but the reality is if you practice a couple times, you can do it in one take. And you can hold your phone up. You can do it right here. I could just hold my video like this. It doesn't necessarily matter that you do it portrait or you do it landscape, but if you practice a couple times, I'm telling you, you'll be frustrated the first couple times around, but you can videotape yourself and you can publish it. It's not as important these days with the camera qualities that we have on our cell phone that you do some professional editing and things, trust me. Okay, so the structure of it is you can turn a video into a post, and then that post can become a campaign, which is a paid ad, and then you can use that paid ad to have an additional offer or something where you can compel somebody to take some action. Okay, so that's the strategy. Script framework. I've got a couple stories I'm going to tell you today to sort of warm us up to storytelling and what the why video might be. And so there are 3 types of story frameworks that are pretty famous in this world. Donald Miller runs a company called StoryBrand, and he created what's called the SB7 framework. And if you want to dig into it, you can. I'm going to try to share sort of the crux of all 3 in sort of a combined version, frankly. But the second one is the Pixar framework. All those stories, the Toy Story videos and all those movies that were made by Pixar, now owned by Disney. One of their designers or storytellers, a lady named Emma Coates, actually looked at all the blockbuster stories they did, whether it was Monsters, Inc. or Toy Story, and she called it the Pixar framework. So that's kind of a well-known framework. And then there's something called the CAR framework. So I'm going to get into that. And first, I'm going to tell you a couple stories. So I'm going to show you the difference between what most business owners do and what a story can do. So the first story is And the thing to remember, if you forget some of this training, is facts tell, stories sell. So the importance of stories and what's going to sell your brand for you. So here's an example. Here's a fact. The fact is, I'm a hot chicken place in Nashville. We sell hot chicken in 4 flavors: medium or mild, medium, hot, and nuclear. We're located at 25 Main Street, and we're open from 12 to 7 Monday through Sunday. Come by and see us and get some of our really incredible hot chicken. Okay. What I just did for you was I could have done that on video. I could have posted that on the internet, and those are the facts, right? I sell chicken. I told you what kind of flavors, and I told you where we're located, right? That's a video. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. So here's the difference. And this is, I think, a true story, but it's a real story that's been told thousands and thousands of times. And this is what makes this brand the way it is. If any of you are familiar with Nashville's hot chicken concept, and maybe one or two of you may have heard this story. About 25 years ago, there was a man who loved his fried chicken. And almost every night he would ask for fried chicken. And as time went on, his wife got so used to it that she would just go ahead and make him this fried chicken, because he worked really long hours, really hard worker. He would often get home pretty late at night, really starving for this fried chicken. And almost every night, his wife would have his fried chicken waiting for him. Unfortunately, his wife, talking to a couple friends, heard that he may not just be working long hours. It got back to her that he had met another woman, and that's why he was staying out so late. So the wife decided she was going to go make him pay for betraying her. So she decided she was going to cook him a different kind of fried chicken. So when he got home, he was all ready to eat his fried chicken. He sat down at the table. He looked at his food and noticed it looked a little different. He asked why, and she said she just decided to make him a new recipe. Little did he know, she had found the hottest spices she could find, and she added them to the chicken. All of them. Secretly, if she was being honest, she was slightly hoping it would kill him. She watched him take the first bite, then he took the next bite, and then he took another bite, and he would not stop eating it. Frustrated, she left the room. She just couldn't believe it. After he was done, he came to find her and said, "That is the greatest fried chicken I have ever had in my life. And from now on, that's the only fried chicken I'm ever going to eat, ever. And not only that, I'm going to invite all my friends over tomorrow night so they can have it too, because this is the greatest fried chicken ever." And that's how Prince's Hot Chicken got their start in Nashville. And that's how the hot chicken craze became a thing. And if you want to come down and get some of our fried chicken that's so good it'll save your marriage, you can come down. We're located at 25 Main Street from Monday through Saturday, 12 to 7 p.m. It's a long story, but the difference between the facts and the story, I think, say it all. So I don't know if the true story is that the marriage was saved, and I don't know, but that's the story I have probably told, I don't know, probably 50 times to friends, because I heard it somewhere and it was passed on. Now imagine them telling that story on a video, and if you saw that story on Facebook, what you might do. All right, so let's move on. I've got another good example. This example is Bill. Bill, you don't have to tell your story. I'm going to tell your story. Okay, so here's the facts about Bill. Bill manages the best Facebook group on the planet called Food Truck Training Group. He helps food trucks be successful businesses and has published several books available on Amazon, right? We all know Bill. That's what Bill does. That's the facts. But now let me tell you a story about Bill. And I have created a food truck owner named Joe. Almost 2 years ago now, Joe, a food truck owner, came to me with a problem. And this is Bill talking, because Bill's telling his why story. He had put his entire life savings into his food truck, and it was not going the way he had planned. He was convinced that his food was great, but just couldn't understand why people weren't coming to his food truck more often, because everybody who ate his food said they loved it. Day after day, he would promise his wife that today would be different. Day after day, his wife would trust him to do better, but unfortunately, he would have to come home with the same answer. I didn't make enough to pay the bills today. And he'd have to tell her that. That would start the all too common after the kids went to bed fights that would make going home almost miserable. It was really hard on him, and it was really hard on his family. His wife had to put off buying the new couch that they desperately needed. She had to say no to the kids when they wanted shoes or they wanted something special like going on a family vacation. So feeling like he was almost ready to break, he reached out to me for some advice. After talking to him for just a couple minutes, I made a couple suggestions. I encouraged him to take a deep breath, then gave him just a couple pieces of advice. After talking to me, to Joe's credit, he buckled down. He realized one really important thing. He had to start doing things properly, not his way. If he didn't, not only would he have to keep facing his family with the failure after failure every day, it was likely that his food truck would go under and he would lose his life savings. So determined not to let those things happen, Joe got to work. Things started to improve almost overnight. In fact, based on one suggestion, Joe started seeing his profits almost double. Joe stayed with it. Eventually, Joe didn't need me as much. While he continued to get support when he needed, Joe finally turned a profit. Instead of worrying about going home to face his wife to give her bad news, he rushed home to give her a check big enough so they could buy that new couch. She was wanting, they could go on a trip to the store to buy their kids some new shoes. In fact, enough was left over to take the family on a family vacation for the first time. Now, I totally made that up, but Bill and I both know Bill's been in situations like that. And that's an emotional thing for me. That was a made up story and I'm getting emotional over it because I know as a business owner, we've all gone through that. That's a story that will sell. We've already forgotten that Bill does and the facts we said about, but no one's going to forget that story. Stories sell, facts tell. All right, so you can do this. Let's go through it. I am going to give you just a couple pointers around how to do a why video. First off, the truth is, we don't care about you. As your customer, we don't care about you. We care about ourselves. No one wants to hear your story. In fact, telling your story is a great way to go bankrupt. The customer is the hero, and the key in telling your why story is to make the customer the hero. If you remember back in the Prince's Hot Chicken, the story is the story I tell you, but I'm not sure if the guy was the villain or the hero. I think he was the hero because let's hope he didn't cheat on his wife. And so maybe he turns out to be the hero who worked long hours. He came home hungry every night and he needed some food. So while no one wants to hear your story, everyone wants to be invited into the story that they can see themselves in. How many of you could really relate to the story I told about Bill? And how many of you were Joe? How many of you are Joe? You're invited into Bill's story, but Bill was not the hero. Bill was the guide. Bill was the guide that helped Joe be the hero. And that's the servant mentality Bill has every day, and you can capture that in a video. Now, is eating food life or death? I don't think it's life or death. It can if you don't eat long enough, but the story can be something where it's a small piece of that. Okay, so let's help. What you want to do is you want to help overcome a challenge that the customer has, which is they're hungry. And so I've got a client in this group. I'm not sure if she's here. I don't know, Brandy, are you here today? Oh, there she is. Okay, she's here. Okay, Brandy, I'm going to use you as a volunteer if that's okay. Just tell me yes, otherwise I won't. I'll make up something else.
It's fine.
Okay, so I talked to Brandy recently, and this is actually a today story. So I'm going to go through and show you how I can help Brandy create a why video right now based on a conversation I had with her today. Okay, so in Brandy's real world example, Brandy's hero is a guy, does he own the mechanic place, Brandy, or what's his deal there?
Yes, he has a mechanic shop there.
Okay, so Brandy has a friend now who owns a mechanic shop, and Brandy has pulled up to his place once. Brandy did not come today at the shock of this guy who was expecting her there, and all of her friends were expecting her there based on the food she served last time she was there. Okay, so the hero in the story, what's his name, Brandy?
Derek.
Derek. So Derek has a problem. Derek's problem is he's hungry and he's distracted by not only the people asking him where's Brandy, but by the food he ate because he can't get his mind off this food. Okay, he meets a guide, Derek meets a guide, and Brandy's the guide with her jerk tacos.
Right.
And the call to action is, when I was on the phone with Brandy, he called her saying, when are you going to be here next? And so Brandy said, I'll be there from 11 to 2. So Brandy's got a call to action, and Brandy promised him he's going to send out a group text on her behalf saying she's going to be there tomorrow. Now imagine how devastating that would be if she didn't show up, because everybody's now counting on Brandy being there. So the story is, Derek, this is how, if I'm Brandy, I'm telling the story this way. Yesterday, I was talking to Derek because I had went to his mechanic place to serve him some food, and Derek called me in frantic because he was so frustrated and so upset because I wasn't there today because he was so hungry and all his friends just couldn't get enough of the food. So I told him I'd be there tomorrow from 11 to 2. He said he would send out a group text to all his friends saying I would be there, but he was so looking forward to it, and he wanted to make sure she's going to be there, because if she wasn't, he was going to be left in a predicament. All his buddies would text him again and say, hey, why aren't you here? And he would be frustrated because he's going to have to go find some place to eat. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that story is a why video. Now you can practice it, you can clean it up a little, but the point is, that's a story that sells versus, hey, I'm Brandy, I sell jerk tacos from 11 to 2 and I'll be at the mechanic place. Right? It's different. It's totally different. And with Brandy, she can leverage that on two fronts. If she publishes this video, Brandy wants to be stick and move. She doesn't want to be in one place all the time. She likes the idea of being in one place a couple of days, being in another place a couple of days. So if she goes looking for the next place to be, she's going to show up to that person and say, hey, would you like me to pull up to and be in your parking lot? And they're like, well, yeah, but I'm going to charge a couple $100, right? Because you guys run into that stuff. Well, let me show you a video. Let me tell you a story about what happened with Patrick. And in fact, I've got a cell number. You could call Patrick and see how many people I'm going to bring to your business today. Not only that, the people who are watching your video say, man, I tell you what, Brandy must have some pretty good food if people are willing to go to that length in order to get it.
Right.
Okay, so that's an example. Brandy, thank you for letting me share that. Okay, so how about another volunteer? Now let's do this on the fly. Does anybody want to volunteer active food truck to see if we can create a why story for them, a why video? Any volunteers? Otherwise, we can move on. It's okay. I can talk about the structure of this video. So in these frameworks that people are talking about, the Donald Miller framework, the Pixar framework, the theme of the story, and I can put this in a follow-up post so you can have this, but the hero is your customer and they have a problem. Typically the problem, Gretchen, all right, let's get Gretchen on. We're going to do a little fun thing with Gretchen. Gretchen, can you turn your mic on? Unmute yourself.
Yes.
Right.
Hello.
Appreciate you participating. First, we want to get to know you. So tell us the story of how you started your food truck. How'd you end up opening it?
we are a family that they call permanently affected by COVID. And while we were paying the bills, I didn't have money for Christmas, but to make some Christmas money, I ended up selling cheesecakes to family and friends, and sold quite a bit in that one season. And from there, we started looking to open the business, and we realized that doing the food truck would be less capital up front. And in the search of looking what we need to do, a food trailer kind of just fell into our laps, and we just kind of hit the floor running from there.
And what kind of food do you serve?
Dessert. We're a dessert trailer that specializes in cheesecake.
Dessert trailer, and you specialize in what? I'm sorry, there's a little
That's fine. Cheesecake.
cheesecake. Okay, dessert trailer cheesecake. And tell me the story about somebody who maybe before your food truck opened, is there a story about somebody that ate your cheesecake or just couldn't live without it that would help us in this story?
I guess the favorite story about that is when I started making the cheesecakes, I would bring them up to work and have them test it out, tell me what they thought, because I was looking to vamp up the recipe to get a certain level of flavor and creaminess that you don't find in the recipes you find online and stuff. And the first time I made my banana Foster cheesecake, I had an idea to do a brulee top on it instead of the standard whipped cream and stuff. And it became known as my cracked cheesecake from there because everybody who's had it has always ordered it afterwards.
Okay, can everybody see how phenomenal this story could get? I mean, this is a phenomenal story. If we start working in the word crack cheesecake, I think we got a winner. So Gretchen, that is fantastic. Thank you for sharing. But what we're going to do is we're going to incorporate all those things you said to tell such a compelling, honest, and I don't know the other adjectives I can use for this, but it's the video starts with several years ago when COVID hit. It really affected our family, but we tried to hang on, and we were looking for ways to make some extra money. And I started talking to I was talking to one of my coworkers. So we've got to build in the how you see yourself in the story, because we're not necessarily worried about you and your story. We want to be able to participate in the story. I talked to one of my coworkers. Her name was Jill, and we were talking about desserts, and she said she really had a craving for a dessert, and I told her that I made cheesecake. So character has a problem, and you're the guide with a solution or a plan. Character, or Jill, is craving a dessert, and you mention that you have a plan, and the plan is cheesecake. So you tell not just Jill, a couple other of your coworkers overhear you talking to Jill about your cheesecake, and they beg you to make it. And you say, well, I'm just not really ready. I don't really feel like it's got the right flavoring to it, so I'm going to need to work on it. But maybe next week I'll get up the courage to make one of my cheesecakes and bring it in for you. So that next week, I brought my banana Foster cheesecake in, and after they got done eating it, I could not go into my office without someone asking me for what they called my cracked cheesecake. Our dessert trailer, whatever you call it, is located at so-and-so. We are here from 7 to 5. If you want some cracked cheesecake, we're here to help you. Okay, that's a story. It's a great story, Gretchen. Try to pull that one off. Sometimes, if you'll notice, other people telling your story can be really powerful because it's not you bragging. When I told Bill's story, I think it would be easier for me to tell it than for Bill to tell it, but Bill can tell it because he's got hundreds of them. If you can find someone to tell your story, if Jill could tell your story, I was working with Gretchen, and I knew that Gretchen cooked, and I was just, as all of us do, if you have a sweet tooth, now you can sort of get your avatar in there, which is your ideal customer. For those of you who have a sweet tooth, my name is Jill, And I can tell you that there are lots of times where I crave a good dessert or just some sugar. I mean, I'm just speaking personally, that's how I'm wired. So I was craving some sugar. I started talking to Gretchen, and Gretchen at the time worked with me. And I was telling her about how much I felt like I needed some sugar. And she said, I don't know if you know this, but I make cheesecakes. She's like, what? Cheesecakes happen to be my favorite dessert. Well, yeah, I fool around with cheesecakes and all that. I'm toying around with maybe starting a business. You got to start a business. Well, I don't even know if they're good. And so Jill says, well, you got to bring it in. And everyone overhears them talk and says, yeah, bring it in, bring it in. We'll taste it. We'll let you know if it's good. So I got the courage to make this cheesecake. In fact, I made my bananas frosted cheesecake and I brought it in and they couldn't live without it. I wish I didn't bring it in because I couldn't go into work without them saying, I want the cheesecake. In fact, they started calling it their cracked cheesecake. So you can tell it from the customer, you can tell it yourself, or you can have someone third party tell it. But the fact is, when you invite someone into the story, I can now see myself run into Gretchen, run into your dessert food truck trailer, because get me some cracked cheesecake. And that's what the why story is all about. Okay, so let's demo a campaign. I'm going to go directly into Business Manager, which is where you create campaigns into Facebook. And I'm going to show you why how the why video works and how you can leverage it into customers. First of all, the good story itself is going to be good. Even if you post it, you may get some sharing and you may get some leverage out of it. But here's how you create a campaign. All right, so I am going to find my the view is not, let me just, oh, okay. So when you create a campaign, because you're at the top of the funnel in a Facebook campaign, you're going to want to use your why video as an awareness campaign. So when you click awareness, this is going to get you the greatest amount of reach. It's going to go to the most amount of people for the least amount of money. And the reason why awareness is good is you can see here, if I click on the awareness, it shows an objective called video views. And that's the important objective we want when it comes to Facebook and the why ad specifically. This isn't always the best objective. It's just the best objective when it comes to why videos or the no top of the funnel of your customer funnel. So you're going to click awareness, and that's going to be for video views. Now, the next piece of it you have to do when you do this is when you look here inside of the ad objective area, once you get the campaign started, there is an edit button where it says campaign objective awareness. Okay, actually, let me just, I've got a lot of things from the Zoom that are, okay, so that's right. So then show options, let me see here. A second, I'm orienting myself here. Hide option. Yeah, that's all right. It's not giving me the next, bear with me. Okay, so you got that, and now you're going to get into the, I'm sorry, it's in the ad set. So once you've declared that your awareness, then you're going to go into the ad set level, and you'll notice here optimization for delivery is reach. What we want to optimize for in this case is we want to optimize for what's called through play, because what we're doing here is we want to watch these videos, and what we're watching for internally is what percentage of the video that one of your potential customers will watch, because there are thresholds that signify to us as the owner that someone's more interested because they're willing to watch more of your video. Does that make sense so far? This is a little techie and a little granular with regard to marketing. But as you build out this campaign and you do these things, you're going to first do the awareness objective, and then inside of the ad set, the second piece of building your campaign, you're going to want to make sure in the optimization delivery that you are optimizing for through play. So now that we've got the through play objective and optimization done, then we get to do our daily budget. Now, you don't have to spend but $1 or $2 a day on this campaign, because it's sort of a long-term strategy. What you want to do is you want to have a consistent flow. So if you do $1 a day, you're going to start getting a consistent flow and build up. The faster and the more money you do it, the faster you're going to get a group of people who have watched enough videos. So there is some strategy around how much money you spend, but you don't have to spend a lot. This can just be a consistent $1, or 2 day strategy. So I'll go ahead and put in $2 here. It obviously means you're going to be spending $60 a month on video on Facebook ads. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create an audience. So for anybody who's never created an audience inside of Facebook, then what you want to do is you're going to want to list the location as people living in the location, not people in or recently in this location. You want to have people, if you're a food truck and you have a permanent location, then you want to make sure you do people living in this location. Now, if you are a food truck that moves around, then Facebook ads become a little harder because you have to consistently go in and manage them based on where you're going to be with your food truck. So it's a little different. Let's just assume for this example, you have a permanent location, and we can walk through it another time what you have to do consistently if you're not. That can make Facebook ads a little more challenging though. So let's go ahead and put people living in this location, and then you're going to, we call it geofence yourself relative to the target market. So clearly you're not going to want to advertise to the entire United States. You're going to advertise to a specific location. So I live in Brentwood, Tennessee. So I'm going to look for Brentwood, Tennessee, which is right here. Okay. So Brentwood, Tennessee is going to give me a very specific, it's going to start with a 25-mile radius. Most people won't travel for food more than 5 or 10 miles. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim that down to a 10-mile radius for now. We can always expand it, but what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are starting with our most ideal customer first. So now you'll see that's what they call geofenced around. You're not going to have any other people getting the ad other than in that direct market. Now, if you know your customer well, and you know the person paying the bill is between 35 and 45, then you are going to bracket your age group for that. So if it's 35, I'm going to move this down, and I'm going to say my best customers are between 35 and let's say 55. So I'll move this up. I actually got to move that up a little. And so I do 35 to 55. Okay. So if that's as far as I need to go, then that's what I'll do. That's my audience, and I can start doing. There's not enough time to get all this. This is in and of itself like weeks and weeks, but just basics of this for now, because we're just more focused on the why video. You are building a campaign so that you can target your market, your potential customer with a video that talks about you. And here's why it's so important, is because when you publish this video, then eventually over the next couple weeks, you are going to be able to build an audience around that. And so you will go into Facebook Business Manager and you will create what they call a custom audience. And the custom audience is relative to your why video. So if I want to create a custom audience, I simply click on custom audience, and I can say it's based on a video. So I am creating my audience relative to people who are watching my video. Let me just move this. So I hit next, and what you'll see is the engagement. I have all these options with engagement, if you guys can see this. People who watch my video for at least 3 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, all the way up to 95%. Most marketers will tell you that if you optimize for anybody watching your video for at least the through play, which is 15 seconds of your video, you have someone who might have a little interest. The more they watch it by percentage, the more interested they're going to be in your video. Now, once I do that, I have to go choose the videos, and I do a lot of video advertising. So I can go choose the videos that are going to be producing the results that I want in order to get a group of people that have now they're starting to know me. Remember that, at the beginning, we talked about the know, like, and trust me. The why video is this, hey, here I am, I exist. Now you know me. And the longer they watch and listen to your story, the more interested they are in you. If your video is 3 minutes long and someone watches 95% of that video, you've got someone who's interested in what you're doing. And so Facebook will do the work for you and start creating a list of people who have watched your video by a certain percentage. And that is the basis of why the why video is so important, because it starts to build your brand and create a group of people that now can move down your funnel. The top is this awareness piece, and if you can visualize a funnel with some different layers, all of these people who have no idea who you are, now there's a group of people who know who you are and they're starting to like you. They loved your story and now they're willing to sort of engage. And then you can create another ad and do just $1 a day and only serve it when you build your campaign to people who watch the why video for at least 50%. Much smaller audience of people, but a locked in audience who have watched your video long enough to engage you. And now they're going to want to see more. That's how you take people through the funnel using a why video. I know that part is a little, a little summarized. There's some details, but I'm obviously always willing to help you work through that and make that happen. So I've talked about the campaign. I've talked about the demo ad, and that's really the rest of my training. If you remember in the beginning, I asked you for a favor. One was to participate, which you guys did. I appreciate that. And the other one is, if you found this training valuable, to leave me a review. And by doing this QR code, I'm giving you a sneak peek into what we plan on doing next week, which is showing you how you can use text messaging and QR codes, how to virtually run your entire marketing strategy. And it doesn't matter, obviously I offer a service doing it, but if you have tools and resources, what, I've committed to Bill on, and what I know Bill commits to you guys, is that I'm going to show you the strategy itself. If you can get it done your way, that's fine. If you want my help, that's fine. But the point is, the training is going to be on the strategy to how to execute it. And whether you do it with one or more tools is fine. I know a lot of you guys have POS systems. There's a chance the POS system that you use may be able to execute this stuff too. So anyway, next is a homework assignment. It would be awesome for those of you who are participating if you could try your hand at a why video and post it in the food truck training group. If you're not comfortable posting it live on your Facebook page or wherever you want to do it, then post it in the training group, because we'll all be there to be able to give you comments, be able to help you, be able to use it. If it works out, great. I got my money on a couple people on this group turning out some pretty cool why videos. And if we put them on the group, if we publish them, then everybody's going to get the benefit of it. Use it as an example. You can use it as a testing ground, and we can help each other create why videos that are going to get seen and listened to. All right. That's it, Bill. Under 5 minutes, I guess.
Yeah, I got 5 minutes of question and answer.